capability of cloud computing is such that really, if you can imagine it, you can probably do it. We can offer basic business services off of the cloud. That could be something like offering an email service from O365, or it could be offering a file sharing service.
Does the client want to go to the cloud? If they do, how much is going to the cloud?
It really is just hugely varied.
If you're a small company, there's not a lot of reason to have massive amounts of power when you can get the same, if not more power, in the cloud.
There are some very affordable, very competent cloud services out there, and there are some very affordable, very incompetent cloud services out there. And it really does come down to being able to look at the technical details of what's being offered, balancing cost against reliability. And at Blue Frontier, we work on a daily basis with cloud services. We work on a daily basis with on-premise infrastructure as well. If we're looking at cost specifically of running a cloud compute service to replace an on-premise service, whilst we can say that, at a raw numbers level, over 5 or 6 years, assuming you buy a piece of hardware and keep it for that period of time, it could be that the cloud solution may end up being more expensive in terms of the raw cost. It's the reliability, resiliency, redundancy, recoverability, upgradability, and the sometimes lower support and maintenance costs are associated with cloud computing that is really where you recognise the benefits, because the cloud provider often manages the software and platform updates and the underlying hardware, so you're not left with this spiky cost pattern over the period of 1 month whilst you're purchasing hardware and software and having it all installed. That cost is amortized out over a longer period of time. And then if you add that to the intangibles and the difficult to quantify, then in my opinion, there are many use cases where it's justifiable. We're happy to take a very objective look at this from a business point of view. We run a business the same as our customers do, so we look at this from that very perspective. The sheer range of services available in AWS or Azure means that really, in order to make the best of those services, you really need some people who have got expertise on those platforms. We do find that sort of the small to medium enterprise sector has a particular way of working, which these days tends to focus around the O365 offering from Microsoft, which includes email and then SharePoint for files. But for larger clients, it can be anything from hosting an individual application in a secure, resilient, robust manner, hosting their website similarly in a resilient manner. AWS has a huge range of features, is very well established, and I believe is the number one cloud compute provider in the world. With AWS, there is a shared responsibility model. That means that whilst Amazon are looking after the networking infrastructure, the hardware, the customer, or Blue Frontier in this example, would then look after the operating system, the software that sits on top of it, and the data. None of this is plug and play though, so there's very little of this where somebody with zero knowledge can go in and just push a button, upload their data and work. So there may be some financial accounting packages, for example, that small to medium enterprises use that don't really lend themselves to being cloud hosted simply because of the latency that exists between an on-premise infrastructure where the user sits and the cloud infrastructure itself.
There may be particular data security requirements that the client's got where for regulatory reasons they can't put it into the cloud, or they might want some kind of hybrid system where we keep stuff on premise but then offload some things to the cloud where they might be able to make some cost savings or some resiliency changes.
And what we tend to do in those circumstances is hybridise authentication between the two systems, so you've got one username and password that provides you access to your services, whether they exist on premise or whether they have been cloud migrated. Cloud services implemented properly, carefully, and with security at the forefront can be highly secure. Organisations such as the Department of Defence in the United States, the MOD, the NHS, all of these organisations use and rely upon cloud services for operations. From the latency requirements of the software that you're running to the internet line that you've got on premise to very specific requirements around reliability, resiliency, and also the level of comfort with ownership. Many organisations, senior management are not necessarily comfortable with moving data into a third-party environment, which is understandable, but there are plenty of mitigations that can be made to enable that to happen in a highly secure manner. But again, that comes down to implementation. It's about process, and it's about procedure, and it's about knowing the platforms that you're moving into.